This used to be a marsh. This used to be wetlands. And what is it now? You know, you could say it's like a 4-lane highway for a storm surge.
The tsunami was a reminder that we could better utilise and design how we use nature in Aceh.
It's a simple and proven equation. The better the conservation of these ecosystems, the better the protection against weather events of this nature.
Ours is at times a violent planet. Hurricanes, cyclones, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions and landslides are the perils humans have always lived with. As our human population increases, 6-fold in just over a century, more and more people are being forced to live in the shadow of catastrophe. In 2008, according to the International Red Cross Federation, at least 240,000 people perished as a result of natural disasters, and the bill for destroyed infrastructure and homes was $220 billion.
The UN has put a plan of action in place, and we certainly see the area of ecosystems as the cornerstone of building resilient societies.
In this edition of Nature Inc., we show why a failure to invest in natural protection helps explain the heavy price paid in lives and money. But we find there are encouraging signs that some countries are learning from their mistakes and investing in nature's power to protect. December 2004, the third most powerful earthquake in 100 years, created the largest and most fatal tsunami on record in Asia. By the time the tsunami reached Aceh in western Sumatra, it was a 30-metre high wall of water, travelling at over 500 kilometres per hour. Entire coastal settlements on the southern coast of Aceh simply disappeared. 500,000 survivors were driven from their homes. 4 years later, this ship left stranded in the middle of the capital, Banda Aceh, has been designated a memorial for 170,000 dead and missing in Aceh alone. Very little could have stopped the damage of such a powerful tsunami, but in the aftermath, one extraordinary fact emerged. In places in the path of the tsunami, where coastal forest, mangrove and coral reef were healthy, the destruction and loss of life were much less. A 2005 study in southern Thailand found that an intact mangrove forest can reduce wave energy by up to 90%. One of the reasons the death toll was so high was that 70% of the mangrove in western Sumatra had been raised to make way for shrimp farming ponds and charcoal. Aceh is a province that has fought a decades-long battle with Jakarta for independence. A shaky peace has been reached, but autonomous Aceh goes its own way. They've set about restoring the mangrove forest. 150,000 hectares are being replanted along Aceh's coastline. A recent UN study valued the services provided by 1 square kilometre of mangrove forest at $900,000 per year. Aceh now wants to go a step further. With the help of Mike Griffiths, a biologist from New Zealand, they have embarked on a project to make conservation a priority in Aceh. It's part and parcel of the Aceh authorities' plan to be better prepared for the next natural disaster.
We've been particularly lucky that in Aceh there has been more than just local support, there has also been high-level political support. Some of the richest people from Aceh were very strongly in support of the conservation of these forests. Some of the political leaders were also very interested in trying to see conservation work in Aceh.
At the heart of the project is the Lusa ecosystem, one of the 25 most critically endangered ecosystems in the world, according to the World Conservation Union. It's been declared a World Heritage Site. Lusa still covers half the province.
In this modern age, you have to talk economics. And so we commissioned a study to assess what is the total economic value of the Losa ecosystem.
The study, led by Griffiths, valued the services provided by the forests of Losa in a number of areas. It estimated a sum of $2.64 billion per year, from trees that absorb floodwaters to bats that are the main pollinators of the very mangrove forests that are now being planted in Aceh as insurance against the next tsunami.
The tsunami was a reminder that we could better utilise and design how we use nature in Aceh. In many cases, the tsunami gave us the opportunity to look again at how we develop our villages and towns and cities. And it gave us a chance to think carefully about what nature gives us and correct the mistakes of the past.
New Orleans, Louisiana. In August 2005, Hurricane Katrina struck one of the oldest cities in the US.
It came from behind us. That's where the water came in at. Baby, please send them home. I was looking for my daughter. Everybody was all scattered throughout the United States. Nobody knew who was. We didn't know who was dead, who was living. Baby, please send them home. My job was finding dead bodies, tying them to the posts to stop them from going in the drains.
New Orleans sits in the heart of the delta of the Mississippi, the 6th longest river in the world. A century and a half ago, the delta was a kaleidoscope of small, permanently dry islands, marshland and channels. Bad for waterborne commerce, but very good for protecting New Orleans from hurricanes and storm surges.
This used to be land. We talk about land loss all the time. We talk about losing 25 square miles of land a year. About we're going to lose another 500 square miles of land. What is land loss? It's this. This used to be a marsh. And what is it now? Well, it's a big area of open water. This is just, storm surges come straight across it. You know, you could say it's like a 4-lane highway for a storm surge.
Professor Denise Reed is an expert on river system mechanics with the Louisiana Department for Coastal Restoration. An English immigrant, she's heading the department's task force to stop the dramatic loss of the wetlands and maybe to get some of it restored.
As the storm surge comes in, then this great complexity that it moves across really helps to dampen down that storm surge. It's not just the individual bits of grass like this, it's the fact that there are huge landscapes and that there's water and trees and marsh and water and trees and marsh. And so as the storm surge comes in, it has to continually be moving across this complex landscape.
The disruption started in the 19th century when canals were built to suit ever bigger ships carrying cargo down the Mississippi to reach the sea. Channel building picked up pace midway through the 20th century. Canals prevent the sediment carried by the river from forming wetlands. Since the 1930s, a fifth of the delta has been turned into open water, decreasing the delta's economic and ecologic value by as much as $15 billion a year. But what was good for ships became the blues for the delta.
We're flying over the Mississippi River Delta here. The river's winding its way through the middle down to the Gulf of Mexico. But down here we've got dead trees sticking up like matchsticks. Lots of the things that we do in the city here are really dependent upon the water, upon the river, upon the ability to get these ships into these facilities and move the cargo on and off. that means that we have to have water close to the city. And that, of course, is one of the problems that we have, because we have these deep, straight canals, and this is the way the storm surge came in during Hurricane Katrina. It didn't come up the river, it came across the wetlands and in through the channel.